Hey everybody, Uncle Rich here for Who's Telling the Truth. Today is, this is show 66, where are we? Show 66, and we're calling this show The Tipping Point. And you know, a lot of people are gonna think, you know, what you mean, Rich, people have finally reached a tipping point when it comes to climate change? No, people haven't reached the tipping point. Hopefully, corporations will have reached a tipping point. And we're going to start to hit them in the pocketbook so that they understand that we're not playing games anymore. This is the way it has to be. And first of all, I want to, you know, yesterday was the People's Climate March, and I want to thank everybody for going. I mean, I realized that the show has a lot of clout and I'm able to get people to do everything. But I never realized I'd reach over 300,000 people. And I want to thank you for telling your friends, who told their friends, who told, and guys, I just want to thank, and I want to say hi to Uncle Joey. Joey runs Things to Ponder, everybody, so you can go on to his Facebook page. And his main editor at Things to Ponder is Charlene. And she goes by the name of Pissed Off Patriot Chick. And I want to tell you guys, after the climate march, what was the one thing they had to say about it? There was too much garbage left behind. These are the type of people that we're dealing with. Rather than try to address the issue and approach the problem, these guys are hypocrites. They don't pick up their garbage. Well, I want to tell you, at first I thought the rally, I was hoping the rally would get 100,000 people. And I said, you know, if we can get 100,000 people there, this is really going to change some minds and turn some heads. And the initial reports were that there was 310,000. But guys, on the front page of the Fox News website, Fox News said that there was over 400,000 people there. And we all know Fox never gets anything wrong, so we're going to stay with that 400,000 people figure. And guys, tonight's show is virtually, it's going to be on pretty much the whole rally. And then, of course, I'm going to get my bada bings in for Fox News. Charlene, you ain't going to be a happy camper by the time this show is over, because I'm going to expose you and everybody else. Oh, Charlene says she's a woman, but she doesn't believe in equal pay for women. So guys, you try to explain that to me. So either she's not a woman, you know, how could a woman not want to be paid equally to men? And this is what we're dealing with. I mean, look what the Koch brothers do to these people. You know, calling her an idiot would be nice. You know, that would be gracious. All right, now, guys, this march wasn't so much about climate change. It was about changing the system. The system is broken. Capitalism is broken. And you're going to see some stuff today. There's going to be some socialist movement. There's going to be some communists. And, you know, guys, I tell you, when I was growing up, you know, I went to a Catholic parochial school, and we frowned on socialists, and we frowned on communists, because that's what the nuns taught us. We were taught to hate. Those systems are no good. We have the right system, the capitalist system. Well, let me tell you something. When you put profits before people, that's not right. And that's what we're here to change. But we want to show you how many people were there, and we're gonna use, this is a drone. This is the guy bought a drone, and we're gonna show you, he fires it up. I guess it's a little helicopter, but we're gonna ride in this thing on one of those camcorders or whatever. And guys, you're gonna be able to see Central Park. And John, start rolling the video, and let's take a look. And hopefully, I can talk for this. And let's see. Let's see if this is the one with the drone. I hope so. Okay, here we go. You'll hear the engines rev up now, guys. And this is almost too good to believe, but I guess, I forget what they call those little camcorders. But here it goes, they're taking off with it. This is weird. And I mean, look, you know, it's almost like it's on a boom or a crane or something. Look how nicely I mean, there's no interference. Now, it's amazing that they didn't hit any tree branches on the way up. But here, look at all these people, guys. Now, this is Central Park Avenue, I believe. Well, I guess that's what borders Central Park Drive? Central Park West. Central Park West, and look at all the people. And when this drone turns around, you'll see the same amount of people in the same direction. But guys, look at what they've done. They've put up barricades. You'll see 3/4 of the way on the street, they put up barricades to contain the people in one area. This way, in case they have to get emergency vehicles or something in there, they're able to do it. Look at that. I mean, isn't this drone thing, look how nice and steady that is. But man, I tell you, this is almost spooky being up this high. And whoa! Hey! Holy moly! All right, and this thing's gonna come in and land. And the funny thing is, guys, they shut it off before it lands. So I wonder if on the way in, here we go. I wonder if they hit the trees on the way in. But I mean, was that as smooth as it can get? And I mean, you could see by the amount of people. And John, our director, was down there. And, you know, I was trying to watch everything live, and the live feed kept dumping out on me. And then I had another guy who was in the parade, and ay. But I tell you, years ago, we could never do any of this stuff. I mean, the technology has increased so greatly. And guys, you know, when it comes to global warming and climate change, the one thing we always insist on is validity. You know, and the fact that, you know, who supports the movement, what's happening, the fact with the climate scientists. And this next clip we're going to show you the UN Secretary General of the United Nations. And he's going to be out, marching with Al Gore and Leo DiCaprio, and Sting was down there. And I tell you, guys, there's a bunch of them. So John, let's roll the next clip, and we'll see the secretary.
They came from all corners of the world and all walks of life. More than 300,000 of them. This was the People's Climate March. Indigenous communities, activists, artists, students, children, united by a common goal: to halt climate change. And Sunday, they marched as one through Midtown Manhattan. Asked why she was there, one marching mother summed it up.
I don't know why everyone is not here. Climate change affects us all.
What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now!
A sentiment echoed by other members of the crowd.
We need to save the planet. It's not much longer that we have for my children and grandchildren to save this thing.
The march's organizers say that it's time for world leaders to protect the world that future generations will inherit. And those leaders marched too, with UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon joining forces with climate change campaigners like Al Gore and Jane Goodall to show their support for climate change action. The march comes 2 days before world leaders will descend on New York for a landmark climate summit at UN headquarters on the 23rd of September. The time to act, says the Secretary General, is now.
Let's work together to make this planet Earth environmentally sustainable so that our succeeding generations, children, after children, will live peacefully. There is no plan B because we do not have planet B.
For the United Nations, this is Alexandra King.
Guys, that was Ban Ki-moon, and he's the Secretary General of the United Nations. And did you hear what he said? He said that when it comes to climate change, there's no planet B. And guys, that's so true. So many times in my life, especially with my wife, we'd always say, what's our plan B? You know, if plan A doesn't work, what's plan B? Okay, we know where we're going. Guys, we only have one planet. There's no planet B. This is it. If we screw this up, we're going to ruin everything. And Joe and Charlene and the rest of you boneheads on Things to Ponder, it's about the kids. It's about having a future for the children. Stop being a denier. All you need to know about climate science is a thermometer and charts. We love charts. I told Joey one time to Google world temperature charts. Google world temperature charts. And you know what he said? It looks like the charts have been altered. Are you serious? You would really say this? And guys, there's not a couple of charts. There's hundreds of them. And I mean, when you look at them, they all go at a 45-degree angle. Or they alter. Come on. Come on, did the Koch brothers get your head that screwed up that you could say something that stupid? And Joe's a bright guy. I mean, Joe knows his way around. He works on heating systems, fuel oil. So maybe that's, so he's on the Koch brothers Christmas card list, right, Joe? All right, now the next clip, we're going to show you how people around the world responded and how there was different marches all over the world. So, John, hit it.
Well, in cities around the world, activists are rallying for action on climate change. Tens of thousands filled the streets of cities like Melbourne, Rio de Janeiro, Berlin and Paris. Among those marching are celebrities plus world leaders. In New York, climate protesters plan to flood Wall Street on Monday, a day before the UN summit on climate change. Well, Alison Kosick is in New York with the details.
And hours into it, Andrew, marchers are still going strong. At the height of this march, thousands were lining the streets here of Midtown Manhattan. Why? They're trying to shine a light on the need to cut down on fossil fuels around the world. Now, the timing of this is significant. This week begins the UN General Assembly Council meeting here in New York City. Also, coincidentally enough, some top meteorologists last week said that this summer was the hottest on record for the globe. So that information fueling the cause for these folks in getting a handle on carbon emissions. The hope is that marches like this help the issue of climate change gain momentum. No agreement is expected to be signed at the climate change meeting happening at the UN on Tuesday. If anything, activists really just want to gain momentum. Here's what one had to say.
We're seeing droughts, massive droughts across the Midwest and California. We're seeing storms that are devastating the East Coast and the Gulf Coast. We're seeing flooding that's threatened this city and many others. All of those impacts are happening, but it is just a taste test of what's to come if we don't urgently reverse course. And the solution is so clear. It's to get to 100% clean energy-powered society and economy.
Marchers also included Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, Al Gore, and celebrities Leo DiCaprio, Evangeline Lilly, Chris Rock, and I talked with Mark Ruffalo. Why is it important for you to be here today and lend your name to this?
Because of my kids, who I love dearly, and I see the world changing very quickly already. and I want to see them. I want to do my best to give them the best world that they deserve to have, and that I was fortunate enough to come up into.
Interestingly enough, the United States has actually made strides to get a handle on carbon emissions. The country actually is using more natural gas instead of coal to make electricity, but many activists and many of the folks out here marching say it's just not enough.
Guys, did you hear what Mark Ruffalo said? It's about the children. It's always about the children. So get off your ass, get up to speed on climate change. Hey, look, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out. I mean, NASA has proved it conclusively. The Goddard Institute, we keep going over and over and over. And why? Because you just want to keep drilling it into people's heads. It's that simple. And the next video that we're going to do, Joey, Uncle Joey, and Things to Ponder actually put this clip up on their website. And I told them, I said, Joe, it's amazing that I'm going to be showing this on tonight's show, but we'll watch it together, and then you'll hear my commentary afterwards. So, John, hit it.
Oh, go tell BP, yes, they shall be removed. Go tell BP, yes, that they shall be removed. Just like the garbage, floating down the water. They shall be removed.
Well, what do you want to see happen?
I want to see, well, in general, I want to see people coming together and raising their voices and being inspired to take action.
So what do?
We understand that corporations have to be reined in, held on a leash to stop them from doing anything they want to. The next insane idea.
The solution is standing up, fighting back right now, bringing millions of people into resistance, but building a movement for an actual revolution and a new society.
What do you want to happen?
We need a whole new society.
But do you want to frack? Do you want wind? Do you want solar?
We need green energy. We need to bring forward green energy, but that can only happen really under a new socialist society.
I wouldn't want a turbine in my yard either.
Okay.
And I'd love to have solar, but I wouldn't want to have a solar factory in my community.
So what do you want to do exactly?
I don't have the answer.
Okay.
But the kids do, and they're being stifled. If you have a new idea, you're wrong. They put you on a good one.
Now, would you like to see civil penalties or, criminal?
Criminal penalties against corporate directors and various other, anybody involved in fracking.
Jambalaya, damn those climate change deniers. How can you ignore those droughts and fires? But someday they may reap what they sow.
What sort of changes do you want to see happen?
I think that we need more renewable energy. We need to be putting money into alternatives to oil and burning coal.
The principal issue seems to be that a lot of the new energy is really, really expensive, and that's the reason people aren't using it.
That's the
point too.
They'd like you to believe.
No, it's not true.
It's not true.
They own everything. They own our governments. They own all the industry. They run this country. They run this world, but they run this country.
I think your question puts the question in the right place, which is it can't be about poor people having to pay more.
We live in a grotesque era of where we have everything we want all the time right now.
I think having less is actually very freeing.
I think we just have way too much stuff, and we use energy like it's never going to run out, and it will run out eventually.
Turn everything off.
Everyone turn everything off.
Everybody turn everything off.
But I really need my cell phone.
I don't.
We shall not be. Climate justice now.
Guys, at the beginning of the clip, did you see the one guy hold up the sign that said capitalism is a pyramid scheme? It's virtually what it is. I mean, the money goes to the top and it stays there. And people like Joe can't understand that. He thinks that the people at the top deserve all the money. They don't. It's the people that help to create the wealth that should be sharing the wealth. Not where you have one class that keeps getting richer and the other class, which is everybody else, keeps getting poorer. And then you defend them, Joe. You vote against your own interest. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I just don't understand it. But like the one woman said, we have to rein in capitalism. We have to tell capitalism that it's time to change the business model. Before you give the profits to the shareholders, you have to make sure that you take care of the people that are making the profits for you. These people need to be paid a living wage with benefits. You know, we got to stop this nonsense. Why do you want to defend the Koch brothers, the two richest guys in the world that want to kill your kids? And then you deny the science. You deny everything. Why? I don't know. Could you please explain it to me? And now we're going to show you one of the, we're going to show you Bill McKibben. Bill McKibben started 350.org, and the reason why it's called 350 is that's the maximum amount of carbon dioxide parts per million that scientists, climate scientists say that the world can still function at that level, at 350. Anything above that, and we're in dire straits and we're going to have problems. Guys, we're over 400. The carbon is going up so rapidly, and if it gets to the methane, forget about it. This game's over. You think what happened in the flooding in New York City was bad? You won't even be able to get a bus in New York City, never mind a subway. All right, now this next clip we're going to show you Bill McKibben on the street, and even he didn't think that the movement would get this big. So John, hit it.
Yeah, we're here with Bill McKibben. Bill, what do you make of the march so far?
It's just sort of stunning and overwhelming. The front of the march is already all the way over on the west side. The people back up at 86th Street haven't started moving yet. This is way, way more people than we anticipated. This is the largest political gathering about anything in this country in many, many years. And I think it's the moment when just people's frustration is just kind of boiled over. 25 years of doing nothing, 25 years too long.
What makes you think this is any different to other big protests that we've seen in the past few years? You've been arrested outside the White House complaining against fracking. What's the difference?
The biggest difference is it's bigger. I mean, movements need to keep moving. They need to keep growing, and this one is clearly growing exponentially.
And in terms of the meeting on Tuesday, what are your hopes? What kind of tangibles would you like to see delivered?
Nothing's going to happen at the meeting in the UN. I mean, that's just professional wrestling over there. But events like this put a lot of pressure in the system, and sooner or later it starts to move.
Okay. Guys, so you see what he had to say? You know, he said that this is way bigger than we ever thought. And the other thing that he said at the end was the system has to be changed. And, you know, when he was talking about the what's going to happen tomorrow at the United Nations, he said that's going to be a professional wrestling match, which means they're going to go through the motions and nothing really happens. Guys, when things are starting to change is when the money starts to change hands. Like with Solarized Brookfield and Solarized Connecticut. When we start to take advantage of the free market, and when we start to create trickle-down economics, where the money trickles down from the solar panels, and it trickles down into our checkbooks, and we redistribute the wealth into our own pockets. Let's be honest with each other. You're going to pay for electricity one way or the other. Do you want to pay for it and put that money back into your pocket, or do you want to pay for it and give it to a corporation? You make the decision. And guys, you know, guys like Joe had Solar City come out to his house, and they showed him beyond the shadow of a doubt that he could save money substantially with solar panels. And you know what Joey did? He cut off his nose to spite his face. He would rather give the money to the Koch brothers so that the Koch brothers can spend the money buying the government so that they can eventually end up killing his kids. And I hate to be so vicious, but this is the way it has to be, because you guys don't want to wake up. All right, now, the next clip is what really brought Bill McKibben to his senses, the oil economy, and what happens when we burn fossil fuels. So, John, let's have the next one.
I wrote the first book about climate change way back in 1989 when I was a young man in my 20s. Now I'm in my 50s, so I've spent my life watching our political system try to cope with the biggest challenge humans have ever faced. So far, they've failed. I used to think that was about some failure of human psychology or our love of the status quo or something like that, but I've changed my mind. I think most people, faced with the spreading plague of drought and flood and failed harvest, are ready to take action. The problem is the fossil fuel industry. It's the most profitable enterprise in the history of the earth. Exxon makes more money each year than any company in the history of money. And much of that profit is based on a simple fact. Alone among industries, it doesn't have to clean up after itself. We let coal and gas and oil barons use the atmosphere as an open sewer into which to dump carbon, their main waste product, for free. That's a sweetheart deal. Imagine you owned a restaurant, and the city let you shovel your waste into the center of the street each night instead of paying for it to be carted away. You'd make more profit too. But soon the streets would be overrun with toxins and trash. Well, that's what's going on in our atmosphere right now. Every sensible economist has said that we should force the fossil fuel industry to pay for the damage carbon creates. But it hasn't happened because this industry of polluters is able to pervert our democracy with endless campaign contributions and lobbying money. I mean, our politicians should be forced to wear decals on their suits like NASCAR drivers. And here's the thing, we're not the radicals. We want a world a little bit like the one we were born into. Oil companies are the radical ones. They're willing to alter the chemical composition of the atmosphere in order to make more money. They've already run the carbon level in the atmosphere well past the safe line, 350 parts per million. Now they're trying for a world that, well, it'll jeopardize the future of most living things. Does that seem right to you? So, this is our challenge for the years ahead. If we can break their power, then the planet has a future. I don't know that we can. They are the ones with all the money. So we need to find other currencies, like passion, spirit, creativity. Sometimes we're going to have to put our bodies on the line and get arrested. It's the fight of our time, maybe the fight of all time. And we should all be honored to be a small part of it. Help ensure that our planet is protected for all future generations. Go to 350.org and join the fight today.
All right, guys, now we're going to come to the part of the show where we have the most fun, where we start the hitch slapping. See that, Judy? I didn't say bitch slapping, I said hitch slapping. So anyway, in order to signify that we've reached that point of the show, we like to kick this section off with a little John Lennon. Talking to any of the Beatles? You know, a lot of times when I mention Lawrence Krauss and some of the other guys, Richard Dawkins, you know, when I listen to some of those guys, it's like I'm listening to the Beatles. I mean, it's just, you know, it's amazing, the thought patterns, the thought process these guys have. But this is the hitch slapping part of the show, and the first one we're going to do is we're going to show you a commercial that the Trans-Canada Pipeline wishes you didn't see. So, John, hit it.
I keep hearing that all the oil from the Keystone XL is going to China.
They want to add value to that raw crude oil, ship that overseas, and then continue to import higher-priced oil from the Middle East that we still need.
How will the Keystone XL pipeline benefit the United States?
TransCanada has been
an environmental disaster
for years.
This next story may be cause for concern.
Another pipeline,
TransCanada pipeline explosion.
Building the pipeline would inject
3.1 million gallons of hazardous liquids per year
through the community.
They're going to be spilling a hell of a lot of oil.
Parts of this town are still covered in a thick, toxic sludge.
A spill of this toxic sludge would be an economic and environmental disaster.
The black sludge spilled onto the streets.
A major cleanup is now underway.
Why are there so many people opposed to this pipeline?
The oil from Keystone XL will go directly
down this waterway.
And in so doing, it runs through
the largest source of fresh water in the United States.
There's the maintenance type jobs that go with it.
Inadequate field investigation, inadequate inspection.
Like any other responsible business.
TransCanada at fault.
It shut down the TransCanada pipeline Thursday because of safety issues.
TransCanada knew about the problems with the pipeline, but didn't do enough to prevent the explosion.
The reason why we've built the pipeline is strictly for private gain. It's an investment that we make money with. Keystone XL means
forcing families from their homes.
That's the way we do business.
Thick, hazardous slime covers yards and streets in this subdivision.
At the end of the day, it's the people affected who pick up the slack.
People living in the communities where a pipeline is located.
Collateral damage in the way of big oil.
People are still suffering with the long-term effects caused by breathing toxins on a daily basis.
I mean, look.
Residents couldn't believe what they were seeing.
That is a pipeline that is busted.
These pipelines are just too dangerous for the environment.
It is not crude oil. It is not in the strategic interest of America to even have this crap coming down here.
There's something wrong with the pipeline system.
Take, for example,
the second incident this week where Canadian crude has spilled in the United States.
TransCanada's first Keystone line in the U.S. spilled at least a dozen times just in its first year of operation.
Where is the public interest in this?
It doesn't make sense.
Why did this happen? This is not all right.
They've lied. They've misrepresented this entire project.
Oil giants get away with violations like that all too often.
All we have to do is pay more, both in terms of money at the gas pump and cost to the environment.
Which is why people across the Midwest are fighting to stop the pipeline.
Guys, what do you think? Doesn't that call for one? I mean, we want to reach out, Graham, and a 1, 2, 3, bada bing! You know, you would think that after a while, these guys would get the idea. You know, there's other ways to make money. I mean, it's gotten to the point where solar and wind are profitable. All you have to do is change the business model. That's all. You can pay people a living wage. You can stop all this nonsense. You guys can still make money. Everybody will still be happy. You won't have as much as you used to. But hey, you got so much now, who cares? How much more do you need? How many boats can you ski behind? You know? All right, wait, but the bada binging ain't stopping, because now we're going to show you how Fox is against reality. So, John, hit it.
BP could be looking at an additional $18 billion in fines related to the Gulf oil spill disaster in 2010.
I mean, we treat business more harshly than we treat terrorists. We give terrorists lawyers. We criminalize BP and the oil companies.
And that's U.S. District Judge Carl Barbier said BP, quote, made
profit-driven decisions during the drilling of the well that led to the blowout, writing, "These instances of negligence taken together evince an extreme deviation from the standard of care and a conscious disregard of known risks."
This wasn't about cleaning up the oil spill. This was about humiliating CEOs and demonizing big oil.
We can't afford to demonize these energy producers to such an extent, though, that they go under.
Stop demonizing BP. He's going to drive this company into collapse.
Judge Barbier said over and over again that BP essentially chose profit over safety, chose profit over securing its responsibility to the environment, to the 11 men who died on the rig, and that profit-driven motive led it to behave with gross negligence and willful misconduct.
On the day that it was announced that we were going to go after the oil company criminally, there was a collapse of the price. And that was a kind of escalation that was entirely unnecessary. It's not going to help in the cleanup. There was no evidence, there was not a shred of evidence that Eric Holder presented to demonstrate even some element of criminality in this.
Now, more than 4 years later, a federal judge has ruled BP acted recklessly leading up to the spill, and those dangerous decisions were motivated by profit.
Motivated by profit. It's what it's always about, isn't it? And guys, did you hear the echo chamber in that clip? How many times did you hear the word demonize being said? They're demonizing the oil company. They're demonizing. Hey, guess what? When you deserve it, you're gonna get it. It's that simple. Could you imagine, if companies just started throwing garbage out in the street? Oh, you're going to demonize me for polluting the street? Yeah. All right. Now, guys, even with all the bada binging and everything, there still is some good news. That's right. There is some good news. And we're going to play you a clip on some good news now. So, John, hit it.
Carbon dioxide has reached levels not seen in millions of years.
Climate change is here and getting worse.
Extreme weather has wrought havoc all over the world.
It's happening here and now.
We are running out of damage by the water.
So there's been a lot of news about climate change. A lot of bad news, that is. And for the good news?
Right.
Well, there hasn't really been any. Until recently. Today we're facing the hard truth of climate change with the stubborn relentlessness of human will. And good news is happening.
Right. And now for some good news.
Every day new solutions are emerging. And not just wouldn't it be neat if solutions, real solutions. Our ability to convert sunshine into usable energy is rapidly becoming more advanced and accessible. Which is great because every hour the sun is sending enough raw energy to Earth to meet the entire world's energy demands for a full year. And the cost for clean energy technologies is dropping. Right now, the cost of solar energy is equal to or cheaper than fossil fuel energy in about 79 countries.
I didn't even know there were 79 countries.
And the electric car market is booming thanks to falling battery prices. And guess who likes that?
Who?
All types of people from around the world are starting to embrace renewable solutions. Schools are being powered by clean energy. Financial institutions are realizing dirty energy is a bad investment. And businesses are finding that going green is good for the bottom line. Which leads us to more good news. These solutions are actually working. It turns out that what is good for the environment is also good for the economy in many ways, like reducing poverty, spurring innovation, and creating jobs. In 2013, nearly 6.5 million people were employed globally by the renewable energy industry.
Job creation. Brilliant.
Right. And while other industries are shrinking, renewables are growing as new technologies and capabilities are being rapidly discovered.
And here's some more great news.
This groundswell of support for renewable energy is forcing leaders and governments to take action. The two biggest carbon emitters, China and the US, have made moves to curb their carbon pollution and invest in cleaner energy technologies. And they're not alone. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is convening nations to forge a climate treaty that could unify the world to work together and lower our carbon emissions, transitioning us to a global clean energy society. We all know the bad news. Climate change is here. It's big, it's bad, and it's hurting us and our economies. But The important thing to know is that there is also good news. We have solutions here today, not dreams or wishes, real-world solutions that are ready to go and that are already saving money and improving lives.
Everyone's a winner.
If we rally around this good news and embrace solutions, we can forge the path to a clean energy future and make sure that progress is our new reality.
That's good news. Thank you for watching.
Guys, did you see what he said there? There are 79 countries where it's cheaper to use wind and solar than it is to use fossil fuels. And that's without the extraneous costs. When you incorporate the extraneous costs into that, every country's probably going to be cheaper. But you know, we're stuck with this oil economy. We have to wean ourselves off of it. I mean, we just can't stop tomorrow, you know. But the next clip we're going to do is going to be on Al Gore and the reality show, the 24 hours of reality that they did. And I watched the whole thing. And it was, well, I didn't watch the whole, I watched all the segments of it. And they did a terrific job. Gore really did a terrific job. And this was I think it was hour 18, and it was on jobs. And just like you saw in that last clip, the one positive thing about climate change and global warming is that it's going to create jobs. Plenty of good paying jobs. And now let's see if John's on his toes here. John, we have a still in there. I think where it said in Connecticut, 62% solar has increased, the amount of jobs has increased 62%. Can you see if you could find that still? But in the meantime, I talked to Stefan at Ross Solar. And so far, guys, for this year, for 2014, up to the month of April, Ross Solar has put in as much solar from January till April of this year as they did all of last year. So they're 3/4 ahead of the game. So you want to talk about profits, and you want to talk about corporations, and you want to talk about making money? When you increase the volume of your business by that percentage, the money follows, fellas. And I mean, John, our director, went down. He now works for Ross Solar. He's got a good living wage job. And I tell you, there are days when on overtime he could be making $25 an hour. The same wages that people are going to be getting paid out in Reno at the Gigafactory, because remember we did the Gigafactory, and with benefits. And also another thing I found out, guys, I didn't realize it, but Apple's headquarters, and that's totally solar powered, is also located in Reno. So can you imagine the wealth that's going to pour into that area? And when they finally get that Gigafactory, never mind finally get it going, they're going to demand 3,000 construction jobs right now today. So if you know somebody that's got some enthusiasm and wants to make a career and a life for himself, maybe start a family, head to Reno. You'll be able to work at a place, a living wage with benefits. You can go skiing in the mornings and get a sunburn in the afternoon, you know? I mean, you're in the desert mountains. It doesn't get any more beautiful. All right, so the next clip is going to be on Al Gore. And, you know, guys, whenever I blog, and I do a lot of blogging, whenever ClimateGate or climate change gets mentioned, whenever you mention Al Gore, the simple folk, Joey! And the reason why I call them simple is they simply don't want to know. But anyway, so the simple folk, so what I'll try to do is when I blog to them, I'll try to explain everything to them, just to try to break it down. And, you know, with Al Gore, the one thing that everybody always says, oh yeah, well, Al Gore, he flies around in his jet and he's got a big carbon footprint and his house has a big mansion and and I bet you he puts his garbage outside too, so you can bitch about that, you know? When you don't have facts and logic and reason, what do? Blame it on the garbage. All right, so anyway, guys, I'm sorry, but you should have never put that thing on the, you know, with the garbage on there. I'm surprised. Oh, what's the matter? They didn't catch anybody pooping? Or there was no, nobody pooped on a police car? Or there was no wild sex during the march? What's the matter? You guys didn't get to that part yet? Oh, that'll come tomorrow, watch. When Fox runs out of facts, they just make stuff up. All right, so the next clip is going to be on Al Gore and how Al Gore is just trying to rape the American people from their hard-earned money by using renewable energy. So, John, hit it.
Thank you very much, Typhon, and thanks for doing this long shift in the middle of the night New York time. Looking forward to the rest of hour 18, and I'm excited to present the 18th reason for hope. And this is a big one. The clean energy transition that's picking up speed so dramatically is now creating jobs and revitalizing manufacturing industries around the world. At a time when many countries are struggling with unemployment, income inequality, and other economic problems, renewable energy is providing an exciting new source of job growth and wage growth. Not only is climate action not a choice between the economy and the environment, we see now that it can and it does spur new development, new industry, new innovation, and new jobs. That is an important reason for hope. And the 18th reason for hope, just to summarize again, is that renewable energy is now spurring the growth of new jobs all around the world. First of all, these new wind power systems are creating high-paying, good jobs. This is a high technology industry that is jobs intensive. And all of the nations that have taken the lead in building windmills, for example, China, are putting a lot of people to work. This is in the United States, in Colorado, where one of these giant windmill blades is on display. They make them there, and they're paying good wages. This is a tremendous new opportunity. This is in Canada, in Ontario, where they're making parts of a giant wind tower. This is another one of these enormous blades. And look at the facts that are presented in this slide. The number of green jobs or clean jobs that have been listed in the United States climbed over the last 12 months almost 90%. Now, how many categories of good jobs that pay good wages are growing that rapidly in this day and age? This is a tremendous opportunity and a great reason for hope. We're seeing that a lot of people all over the world are getting employment in this new industry. Let me go back to this one because it shows that on a global basis, there are now 6.5 million people already who work directly or indirectly in the renewable energy sector. And as this transition to replace dirty fossil fuels with renewable sources of energy picks up speed, we can anticipate that this job growth will also accelerate. The focus has been here on renewable energy jobs here in Salvador, Brazil, the installation of solar panels on the first solar-powered sporting venue in Latin America. But it's also important to recall some evidence that was presented in an earlier hour where we presented a source of hope, and that is the massive market for retrofitting buildings. Remember, buildings are a source of almost 25% of all global warming pollution because so many of our buildings were built in an inefficient way that allows the escape of heat during winter and the escape of cool air during summer. And the great task of adding insulation, adding better windows, replacing inefficient lighting systems with the new very efficient LEDs, those are all accompanied by the creation of lots of good jobs. Well, we have a big challenge in front of us. In order to solve the climate crisis, we have to retrofit buildings. We have to build all of these windmills and solar panels and install the new energy efficient pumps and piping systems and all of the other advances in energy efficiency. All of them are associated with the kinds of jobs that cannot be outsourced. They have to be performed in the community. So this...
Guys, you hear what Gore said? These are the types of jobs that can't be outsourced. You're not going to get somebody from China coming over to put insulation in your attic. It ain't going to happen. You're going to get the kid from down the street. And then he's going to make a living wage and he's going to contribute to the community. And it's a nice little circle. And the money circulates. It ain't hard. So, Joe, are you going to put solar panels on your roof and redistribute wealth into your own pocket? Are you going to eliminate uncertainty, Joe? And most importantly, when you put solar panels on your roof, you're becoming a job creator, you know? So you could say you've actually done something for the community. All right, now, the next clip is going to be on Reality Drop. And guys, if you like hitch slapping people like I do, you want to go onto this site and it'll direct you to different places where you can get in direct contact with deniers and give them the old bada bing. So John, hit it.
The science is settled. The data is clear. Not a single legitimate scientific body in the world disputes it. The global climate crisis is a reality. It's happening now, and man-made carbon pollution is responsible. Scientifically speaking, the climate change debate is no longer a debate at all. But big oil and big coal are spending big money to buy media access and spread doubt about climate change. Their think tanks produce false theories. Their experts spout false claims. They flood online comment streams with false information. And in today's media echo chamber, where the loudest voice can drown out even the most definitive truth, the forces fueling climate change denial know they don't need to convince us. They just need to confuse us. Enter Reality Drop. Reality Drop uses game dynamics to counteract the confusion, promote the spread of scientific truth, and help us win the heated climate change conversation wherever it's raging. Reality Drop aggregates climate-related content from hundreds of online media channels. Some of the content supports climate science. Other content attacks it. In each case, the accurate science related to the content is attached directly to the post, giving the reader easy access to the facts. Users earn points for grabbing the science from the site, pasting it into comment boards, and cooling the conversation. That's a Reality Drop. Earn more points for spreading the information through your social networks. The more people you push back to the Reality Drop page, the more points you earn. Like all games, the objective of Reality Drop is to win, but in this case, the collective win is the main objective. The sooner we can all face the reality of global climate change, the sooner we can start solving it. Because we've got the one thing big fossil fuel can't buy. We've got you, and now you've got Reality Drop.
Hey guys, if you ever want to have fun, go on to the Drudge Report. All right? And anything about climate change or global, it doesn't matter. Just click on it and go to the comment section. And if you want to have fun, I'm telling you, when you blog with these fruitcakes, and you'll be able to see after a while the patterns develop. You know, everybody says the same thing about Gore. You know what I mean? Because why? Because they heard it on Fox and they just repeat it. They don't think, they're not critical thinkers. I'm telling you guys, you can have a lot of fun. All right, now the next clip is going to be Leo DiCaprio. And he's going to say something, and we're going to stop the clip right after that. So, John, hit it.
Climate change is a problem that our politicians don't seem to be trying particularly hard to solve. Long-term solutions are required, which are incompatible with a narrow focus on re-election. This used to frustrate me until I realised that as an engineer, I have the power to change the world. And unlike some politicians, I choose to use my powers for good. So, in my PhD, I'm helping to make wind energy cheaper than fossil fuels. That way, using it will be an economic choice instead of a political one. Wind power is actually already the cheapest type of energy in places where wind speeds are high. That's the red areas on the map. But the good sites are filling up fast. So if we want more wind energy, we need to develop more low wind speed sites, the yellow areas. But lower wind speeds means less energy. So to make up for this, low wind speed turbines have longer blades to reach more wind. But making the blades longer creates design challenges, which means they use more material and so they cost more. I'm aiming to reduce the cost by redesigning low wind speed blades to use less material. To do this, I've created computer models of high and low wind speed blades and simulated the loads they face to compare how the structures respond. For a high wind speed blade, the main challenge is to make it stiff enough that it doesn't hit the tower in strong winds. That's important for a low wind speed blade too, but they face an additional challenge. Because the blades are so long, they bend a lot under their own weight, which is a problem because turbines are constantly rotating. And after enough cycles of bending, the blades can break, just like...
Okay, well, guys, we screwed that one up. That was my fault. I got the labels wrong. Say goodbye fast? All right, guys, we'll see you next week. And I tell you, I think we're going to do a lot more on wind next week. So take care, everybody.